here. All right, can you guys see both live stream? Am I on? Is it on right now? Am I on right now? Let me see. Okay, so it's showing on the other one that I'm on right now, but it's not showing on the other one that I'm on. All right, yeah, I think I'm here. I think I see that I'm here. All right. Welcome back to the live stream. You know what time it is. It is your boy Genesis. Welcome back. I am here. It is currently 9:01 p.m. and today's date is the 8th of December 2024. How has your day been? Thank you for tuning in. How has your day been? It's been a pretty interesting day. New information. And I just wanted to, hop on live and do a stream, talk to you guys. Let's see what's going on around the country. So first of all, the stream for tonight is Sunday Vibes, okay? It's Sunday Vibes, all right? Sunday Vibes. Sunday Vibes streaming. All right, if you look up here, you would see that I have a picture on my screen and it has Jill Biden, I think Ashley Biden, and Donald Trump. Right here it says, a fragrance your enemies can't resist. Isn't this guy just the ultimate troll? Shout out to Ellie. Thank you for tuning in, Ellie. Isn't this guy just the ultimate troll? Look at the way Jill Biden is looking at the 47th. Whoever advised him to do this, that person is the ultimate troll, guys. Who does this? Only Donald J. Trump would do this. I mean, look at this. Look at this, guys. He's there sitting down, probably making a conversation with her, and she's looking at him. Joe Biden's daughter is also looking at him, and Joe is nowhere to be found. It says, here are my new Trump perfumes and colognes. I call them fight, 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 because they represent us winning. Great Christmas gift for the family. Go to getTrumpFragrances.com. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Hey, this guy is just on another level. He's trolling Joe Biden. This man is trolling Joe Biden, guys. Ellie says, just got off of work right now. Shout out to you, bro. Hope you had a wonderful day at work. Look, this man is trolling the president of the United States. Look at him right here. He's with the man family. Look at him. His family admires the president-elect. The current president of the United States family admires the president-elect. I mean, look at Jill. Just take a look at Jill, people. And look at Ashley behind her. He is the ultimate troll. Just like I say, he is the ultimate troll. All right. With that being said, let me get you the link for today's stream. I don't know if you guys saw it, but NBC interviewed Donald Trump today. And we have a lot to uncover. And it's pretty much a lot of fun. Let me show you guys. Hold on. All right, here we go. Let's get into business. Let's get into business for the day. So, of course, President Joe speaks on Syria, but we're not going to start from there. Let me see where we're going to start from. It's so much going on. It's so much going on. All right. All right.
Joining us now from Palm Beach, Lara Trump, the co-chair of the Republican National Committee. Joe Biden, as you know, is debated to be considering blanket pardons, preemptive pardons to anyone, mostly Democrats, who they fear might be investigated or even indicted by the Trump Justice Department. What do you think of that idea of handing out a bunch of preemptive pardons?
Oh, I think it's rather outrageous, Howie. I think it's such a bad precedent being set if that indeed happens for the future of this country. And I think a lot of people have said the same thing. Why is it that you would need to do blanket pardons like that if no one is guilty of anything? I think it leads people in this country to say, wow, these folks must have done something pretty bad, that they're going to have to go out of their way to get preemptive pardons, things for which they haven't even been charged yet. And I really hope we don't see that. I think the American people are desperate to get back to a place, Howie, where they can trust these fundamental and foundational institutions of our country, like our Department of Justice. Doing things like that, I think, leads us down an opposite path. And I think it makes people feel like, you know, the past 4 years, maybe there's a lot more to hide that they really need to get to the bottom of. So I really hope we don't see that happen.
What about the president pardoning his son Hunter, who, by the way, is a 54-year-old convicted criminal?
Yeah, listen, you heard Donald Trump say he wasn't really surprised by that. And I think a lot of us maybe weren't surprised by it, despite the fact that Joe Biden, time after time after time, said, I won't do that. I won't pardon Hunter. I believe in the process. I believe in the Department of Justice. And then I think to see his statement when he came out and said that it was because Hunter was targeted, that everybody knows, any reasonable person would know that this was specific to Hunter because he was targeted because he's my son. No, Hunter Biden broke the law. And I think a lot of people, when those charges were brought forward against Hunter, said, oh, well, we all believe that this is a way they say, oh, look, we charged Hunter with something. The really big stuff, like, I don't know, jeopardizing our national security, what really happened in Ukraine and Russia and China, how is it Joe Biden was involved in this? We never heard about. I think a lot of people thought they charged Hunter with this to sweep it under the rug, and now he's been pardoned for 10 years. And whether or not we actually find out what happened, I don't know, but the American people deserve that. And I think they demand that. And I think it's one of the big reasons that you see Donald Trump as our 47th president.
Let me move on. Pete Hegseth, of course, is battling to save his nomination, Army combat veteran, to run the Pentagon. And Donald Trump has made clear he's still behind him. But news organizations have dug up information or allegations about personal conduct, past alcohol use, debts run up by the two organizations he ran. Is it unfair for the media to raise these questions?
Well, I think that you really do need a clear picture of any person going into a high profile and very important position like defense secretary. There's no doubt about it. However, I think the tactics that have been employed against all of Donald Trump's nominees, not the least of which, of course, is Pete Hegseth, are very similar, Howie, to what we saw happen to Donald Trump himself. These are a lot of personal attacks. I don't think it indicates how he would perform as Secretary of Defense. I think his background shows that he is actually incredibly qualified to do this job. And I think the American people rejected attacks like this when they overwhelmingly reelected Donald Trump to be that 47th president. I believe that Pete Hegseth is going to continue on. I think, like Donald Trump, he's not letting any of the noise distract him. And I think that's a great thing. I really hope to see him confirmed. I hope the senators are paying attention, the Republican senators, to the mandate the American people delivered on November 5th. Donald Trump needs people by his side who will get the job done. Pete Hegseth is certainly one of those people.
Well, let's turn to the DOGE, the Budget Cutting Commission that Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy are heading up. And look, anybody who's been in Washington 20 minutes knows the government is totally bloated. But a lot of analysts say that Musk's goal of cutting $2 trillion from a $6.5 trillion budget is totally unrealistic, because that's more than the government spends on all non-defense programs, followed by interest payments on the debt. We've already spent that money, Social Security, Medicare, and then individual programs like VA health benefits. So on some level, isn't that mission impossible?
Well, it may be mission impossible to some people, but I think whenever you put the idea of something that may be impossible in front of people like Donald Trump, or I would say one of the brightest minds of our time, like Elon Musk, they see that as a personal challenge, and I think that's a great thing for this country. Look, we cannot go forward in perpetuity spending the amounts of money that we are as a country, and this is why DOGE is going to be such a huge thing for the future of this country. They need to be successful, Howie, because we really cannot see this go forward. We can't continue to spend this kind of money and think that there are not real implications on the other side of it for our children, for our grandchildren, and future generations of America. It just doesn't work. And so I think whenever you put great minds in there like Elon Musk, like Vivek Ramaswamy, and of course Donald Trump, we'll see what they come up with. But having transparency for the American people is a good thing. Knowing that our tax dollars are not being wasted is a great thing.
Right.
That is what we deserve to see happen. And so I'm very optimistic about it.
Ron DeSantis is going to appoint a senator to fill the vacancy in Florida left by Marco Rubio. You've made clear you're interested. Is it an asset being a Trump?
Well, some may say it's an asset. Some may say it's not an asset. I think it depends how you look at it. Certainly, look, we've all had the opportunity over the past 9 years, really, to fully involve ourselves in politics, to understand the American people, what they want. And we've all been residents of the state of Florida now for over 3 years. And if that's something that's put in front of me, it would be a true honor. But yeah, look, I think probably my last name does heighten my political profile a little bit. But I've got a proven track record. I've been co-chair of the RNC during the most consequential election of our lifetime. We were so proud of what we did at the RNC, making sure that there was election integrity, making sure we got the early vote out, making sure we turned out low propensity voters, and raising huge amounts of money. So I would say that my track record speaks for itself. Maybe having the last name Trump is just a little bit extra. I'm always happy to have it.
Just briefly, Laura, what's this year been like for you on a personal level, you and your husband, Eric, with the media painting your father as a threat to democracy, and, of course, the 2 assassination attempts?
It's been a wild year. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I don't think there's.
I don't know how she's going to leave North Carolina, though, because, I mean, she's like a big contributor to the Republican campaign when it comes to North Carolina. So if she does leave North Carolina to get a position in Florida, that may be an issue for the Republican Party moving forward. However, I'm sure like they already know what they're supposed to do. And if she's going to go to Florida, then, you know, look, she should do what's best for her and her family. Of course, she is a Trump. Her last name is Trump. She's married to Trump's son, Eric. And yeah, but, you know, she's from North Carolina. She was born in North Carolina. Her daughter's name is Carolina. And, you know, Trump was always, you know, talking about her and how she's very useful in North Carolina. But now she wants to go to Florida. And that's cool if she does go to Florida. It's just, you know, being her daughter's name is Carolina. And, you know, of course, the 47th won the election in North Carolina. So, you know, may the future be bright for her.
Any handbook or guidebook that could prepare you for anything like this, but we've kind of all felt that way since Donald Trump came down the golden escalator. It's been an honor to be really on the sideline of history, to see what happened in 2016, to be a part of this election in 2024. It's been a lot of challenge for, I think, my kids who are 5 and 7. They're happy to have mom and dad back a little bit more, seeing us a little more regularly, and they're really excited to see Grandpa take the oath of office on January 20th.
Well, congratulations.
Well, it is what it is. You got to do what you got to do for your family, for your kids, especially for your kids, man. You got to do what you got to do for your family. And yeah, they're doing all they can. All they can, they're definitely doing. But I would say, just my own suggestion, she should stay in North Carolina, okay? She should stay in North Carolina. But they have their own agenda and what they want to do with their careers. All right, on to the next. Let's get it. Shout out to Zyro.
Join me now with more on President Trump's upcoming agenda is incoming White House Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy and Homeland Security Advisor Stephen Miller. Stephen, it's great to have you this morning. Congratulations to you. We're very interested
Maria.
in hearing about the road ahead. Let me start off with the conversation I just had with Bill Hagerty, and that is about the priority of border and energy, putting tax extension later in the year. Walk us through why that's the thinking, and if you, in fact, believe that is how this takes place.
Well, I think the plan is to put both on a fast track. First, you can get John Thune and Lindsey Graham have promised that they can get a full funding package for the border, the most significant border security investment in American history, which would be the biggest domestic policy win in at least 50 years, to the president's desk in January or early February. That would mean a massive increase in ICE officers working on the deportation operation that Tom Homan just laid out. That would mean a historic increase in border agents, a pay raise for both, full funding for military operations, full funding for ICE beds, full funding for air and marine operations, full funding for all of the barriers and technology that you need to ensure there's never another Godaway entering this country. Now, President Trump, regardless, on day one is going to issue a series of executive orders that seal the border shut and begin the largest deportation operation in American history. But you're talking about what would be the largest investment in immigration and border security. This is something the Republicans have been talking about for decades, but with Donald Trump, this is something that is going to happen. It will be the most important and significant, as I said, domestic policy achievement in half a century. Then the plan, as Senator Thune has laid out, as incoming Majority Leader Thune has laid out, would be to move immediately at that point. Now we're talking in January, early February, immediately to the comprehensive tax reform package. That's where you have to figure out SALT, right? The state and local deductions. That's where you're going to figure out about different policy baselines that you're going to use for the tax cuts, about corporate tax reform, about trade reform, manufacturing reform, and all those tax policies. And with the 2 or 3 seat majority in the House, obviously, that's going to take some time. So this isn't nobody, I repeat, nobody is even talking or considering delaying tax. What the Senate has talked about doing is giving the president, within a week or two of taking the oath of office, the most significant domestic policy achievement in at least 50 years. Our Border Patrol, our ICE officers, and every element of our domestic security operation will be fully funded to take down the cartels and eradicate the criminal gang threat in this country once and for all.
Yeah.
Tax reform will happen. It will happen, and it will be the greatest tax bill that we've ever seen. Now, these are not final. These are ongoing discussions and negotiations. But I just want to be very clear that no one's talking about delaying tax reform. What they're talking about doing is before government funding expires in March, before the debt ceiling expires in June, just days after he puts his hand on that Bible, giving President Trump the biggest domestic policy win that anybody has seen in our lifetimes, Maria.
Yeah, I understand that. And I know nobody knows more about immigration than you. And nobody knows more about these threats than you. And, of course, Tom Homan as well. So I appreciate what you're saying, and I appreciate your work. But, Stephen, is there any way that or risk that you believe is out there that if you wait until later in the year to extend those tax cuts in a separate reconciliation package, you're already doing one reconciliation package earlier in the year. If you wait for a second reconciliation in the end of the year, do you believe that there's risk that that doesn't happen?
No, there's zero risk of that for a few reasons. And again, these are ongoing conversations and discussions, Maria, so nothing's even remotely final yet. But there's zero chance of that because, as you know, the tax cuts expire this year. And there's not a chance in the entire world, they expire in the fall, that Republicans are not going to fully extend and expand the Trump tax cuts. There's absolutely zero chance of that. And we're going to have more members a few months from now than we do right now. And you're not just going to have tax cuts, but you're going to have other fiscal reforms that members badly want. You're going to have energy reforms, maybe additional border reforms. But the very important point in all of this is that with the current size of the majority in the House, there isn't a proposal to pass taxes in February. That's going to take some period of time. Remember, the Trump tax cuts in 2017 were passed in December of that year. We can significantly beat, by the way, that record, significantly beat it. And when President Trump comes into office right away, he's going to fully deregulate the energy market, fully deregulate the financial market, fully deregulate this economy. You're going to get a jolt of job growth and job creation and inflation relief from his deregulatory agenda, unlike anything anyone has ever seen before.
Yeah,
but it's really important to underscore that what John Thune is talking about is not delaying anything. In fact, when you have a massive win, when you've delivered the American people the biggest, most important, most comprehensive border package in history, just days after he takes the oath of office, that kind of momentum, that kind of teamwork and team building will speed the delivery of tax reform. But again, whether we do it in one track or two tracks, remember, Democrats did 2 reconciliation bills.
Yeah.
The president is going to get his agenda enacted through Congress, and it will be historic.
Real quick, Stephen, before you go on foreign policy, what are President Trump's priorities going into office less than 50 days away as we watch Syria collapsing, as we watch Ukraine wanting a ceasefire deal, and, of course, China on the march?
Well, obviously, the events that are unfolding in Syria are a massive setback for Russia, a massive setback for Iran. As President has said, we don't want anything to do with governing the fractious nightmare that is Syria. And obviously, we have to have strong immigration controls, to my earlier point, to make sure that nobody from that hellhole that is unfolding right now that has negative or murderous intentions enters the United States. But this just puts more pressure on the regime in Iran to enter a more peaceful phase, and it puts more pressure on Russia to enter into a ceasefire. President Trump's priority, as he has outlined, is going to be peace in the region.
Okay, we will leave it there.
Thank you for tuning in to the live show. You know what time it is. Double tap your screen. Let's get the likes up, everybody. Double tap your screen right now. Let's get the likes up. With that being said, 43 days until the 47th is sworn into presidency, into the office, the executive White House office. Okay, so a lot of people are waiting and ready. Okay, 43 days, guys. This guy is waiting and ready to start. He's already started, okay? He's already started making deals. He's talking to Justin Trudeau. He's talking to the president of Mexico. He's already making deals, okay? He's already talking about tariffs already before he becomes the real 47th president, not the president-elect. And with that being said, so the Trump administration are saying that it's going to be peace through strength. Let's get it.
Joining me now from the Reagan National Defense Forum, our own panel of experts, Fox News Chief National Security Correspondent Jennifer Griffin, former Bush White House advisor and Fox News contributor Karl Rove, and the director of the Ronald Reagan Institute, Roger Zakheim. Thank you all for joining us for this special conversation. Karl, I'll start with you. How do you see the defense posture, the Defense Department shifting or changing under a second Trump administration?
Well, the Reagan Foundation did a very excellent poll, which I hope guides them, which says the American people are deeply concerned about the state of America's military today. They overwhelmingly support additional spending. They want America to lead and be involved in the world. What was remarkable to me is 57% of all voters said we want America to be more involved in the world. And even more amazing was maintain bases overseas. 62% of Americans said they were in favor of it. 62% of Trump voters and 63% of MAGA voters. There is a natural feeling that America is living in a dangerous world, and the way to bring about peace and prosperity is through a policy of strength. Yeah, and the survey also showed that people think that we need better defense production. When we asked about that, you asked about that. Do we need a lot more? 40% said that, and a little more, 33%. So, Roger, that you're at 73% of the people you polled who think we've got to ramp it up. And listen, our resources are being, tied across many, many different battlefields at this point.
The security environment demands it. Now, Congressman Gallagher's right. We need to reform the Department of Defense, but it needs to result in more production. And the American people in this survey, as Karl pointed out, are comfortable with investing in national defense. They're concerned that our focus on the national debt will come at the cost of national defense. But overwhelming number of those polled, 79%, the most we've had it since we run the survey, said we need to make investment in national defense. Donald Trump ran on a policy of peace through strength. He's the first presidential candidate to do so since President Reagan did that. Now this survey helps identify what are the things he can do and the American people support to realize peace through strength.
Yeah, and Jen, to that point, he comes into office with a whole slate of major foreign policy challenges, and now what's flaring up in Syria, that's a whole new front.
Well, I think what is really different from when he left office is there are a lot of changes. You look at Iran, it's 2 weeks from breakout in terms of having a nuclear weapon. You look at what's happening in China. President Xi has set 2027 and told his military to be ready to take Taiwan in 2027. He may not do it then, but he told his military to be ready. And you have a war in Europe that needs to be resolved. And as you mentioned, Syria is falling apart as we speak. You have this group, an Al-Qaeda, once Al-Qaeda affiliated group, and this is a huge problem. It's a huge problem for Israel. They are sending troops up to the border. We have 900 U.S. troops in eastern Syria. They're very concerned. The Kurds that are allied with the U.S. are guarding 45,000 ISIS families and fighters. It has very serious implications for the region.
Yeah, that's just one of the trouble spot regions. And Roger, also in your survey, when you asked people about what the biggest threats are, China clearly at the top of the list. But I also found this was interesting. Only 52% of people feel confident that if the U.S. got into a conflict with China, that we would win.
Yeah, it's surprising that barely a majority of American people think that the U.S. military can prevail in a conflict with China. The reality is that China's engaged in the most dramatic military buildup in generations. I mean, you have to go back to what the Soviet Union did after the Cuban Missile Crisis to see a buildup of this nature. So the American people actually are right. In the Indo-Pacific region, the Chinese actually are at par. They're a peer with the U.S. military. Their industrial capacity really outperforms the United States. There's real reason to be concerned. One of the things that came out of the survey is related to the PRC, the People's Republic of China, but it's also related to Russia and some of the things that Jen just referenced. The American people know who the adversaries are. They know who the good guys are, and they know who the bad guys are. Russia, 80% view as an adversary. On the flip side, Israel, Ukraine, they have the support on par with Japan, over 73, 74%. Peace through strength, that policy that will come out of the Trump administration needs to make sure that we're supporting the good guys, the ones the American people support, and recognize who the adversary is, in this case, PRC, Russia, Iran, North Korea.
Well, and Carl, to the Russia point, the survey also asks about expectations. What do you think is coming next with Ukraine? How does this thing wrap up? In the survey, you found the biggest chunk of folks, 33% think Russia is going to take over some territory. The next level, 26%, said the war will drag on indefinitely. 17% think that Ukraine will expel Russia from its territory. 14% think Russia will take over the whole country. There are a lot of expectations now with President Trump has set some really high bars for how he's going to handle this and how quickly it will wrap up. What do you make of it?
Well, I suspect he's going to regret raising those expectations because this is a thorny problem. The only way to solve this, I think, and I think this is a generally well-held view, is muscle up. Give the Ukrainians what they need in order to prevail on the battlefield and cut the best deal possible. Zelensky has already indicated that he is willing to give up territory, and but the only way to do that and make it stable for the long haul is to muscle up. The poll points out something interesting that is a reality. The reality is, you're right, we're much different than 4 years ago or 8 years ago, and one of the biggest problems is
these guys are the weakest ever. They were saying Ukraine should not give up any territory. Now they're saying he should give up a territory. Like, now Zelensky say, you know what, maybe I'm open to giving up a territory. Why did you cut the deal first on day one? Now you're going to have to cut the same deal you could have cut on the first day before the war broke out. Now you don't let a lot of people die. Unnecessary war, unnecessary funding, and now we're here. You now want to cut a deal after all of this. After $62 billion plus sent to the Ukrainians for ammunition. And now you say, you know what, maybe I'm ready to cut a deal. Maybe I could forfeit some territory. Why didn't you just forfeit some territory on day one? What is that? Bro.
Is that we now have concerted effort among four of America's greatest adversaries. Russia, Iran, China, and North Korea are working together. Think about it. The Iranians are providing the Russians drones. The Chinese are providing revenue by buying the oil. The North Koreans now have military forces, tens of thousands of their soldiers in Russia in order to fight Ukraine. This is something we didn't have before, where there was a concerted military alliance between these four great adversaries of the United States. And in the survey, the American people get it, 86% are concerned about it. They asked the question two different ways. In one, they said, here's all the things they're doing, and 86% of the American people in the poll said we're concerned about that. Then they simply said they're working together and didn't give them detail. Same 86%. We understand what's going on.
And there's so many places the U.S. has to counter what's happening, and one of the places is in Africa, where China has really laid a lot of groundwork. President Biden was there this week. That visit, it feels like it's gotten overshadowed a little bit. But basically, this is what the New York Times says. China's already spent decades funding projects in the country and around the continent, leaving some to wonder whether America can compete with its rival.
This was really significant, a significant trip by President Biden. He was opening a 1,200-mile corridor that the U.S. had paid $1 billion.
You look. Shout out to Ellie one more time. God bless you, Ellie. Thank you for tuning in. Yes, Ellie. Joshua says exactly. Chelsea said so many lives could have been spared. And guess what? Surfing Through Two says that was then. Okay. This is now. Situations change. So you're telling me after people have been sent to their maker, now situations change? Bro. This man was saying, you know what? We don't want to give up any territory. This is democracy. Give up territory, bro. Give up territory. It ain't even yours anyway. So you could have given up territory. You could have preserved the children, the women, the fathers, the pregnant people. Like you could have prevented a lot of lives from being taken from both sides, the Ukrainians and the Russians. Yet now, after all those lives that has been lost, you want to cut a deal. He needs to be gone. Zelensky, look, he needs to be gone. I'm sorry. Like, another person needs to be in charge, because if he's in charge after making this deal, probably one of the worst. He's probably one of the worst diplomats in history.
Between four countries, from Congo to Tanzania, Zambia, and Angola, basically so that the U.S. could have access to critical minerals like cobalt, which are needed for EVs and smartphones. But China, as you mentioned, has been, with its Belt and Road Initiative in Africa, we've been asleep at the wheel for 20 years. They already control 76% of Congo's cobalt, which is the largest cobalt supply in the world. The last U.S. mine left Congo in 2020. So while this was a significant trip by an American president, it is a pittance compared to the $42 billion that China has spent on the Belt and Road Initiative in Africa.
And quick final thought from you, Roger, about the theme, the feeling here about all that is waiting for the next president, who's been the president but will once again be the president.
A lot of anticipation. This is the theme this year is a peace through strength and a period of transition. A lot of speculation what's going to happen with the Secretary of Defense designate Pete Hegseth. But on a deeper level, what will the military strategy be in President Trump's second administration? In our survey, the American people demonstrate that they want a military that can operate and deal with the challenge in the PRC. In China, they can deal in Europe, and they can also deal with the challenges in the Middle East. That needs to be the core part of the strategy. It needs to have global reach. That's what the American people want, and that's what will be discussed here at the...
One thing is for sure. The OG has said it's going to be peace through strength. And to have peace through strength, you need to do things really fast, because people respond to speed, especially powerful people. When you make huge decisions fast, and it happens to be the correct decisions, people of big importance, people that are influential would look at you and respect you. And that's what Trump is trying to do with the tariffs on Mexico, Canada, with Justin Trudeau going to Mar-a-Lago, with him saying he wants to make Canada the 51st state. Those things matter to the world. When they see him moving like that, it's like, oh, shoot, this ain't no joke. Nobody wants smoke with Trump from the gate. Nobody has ever wanted to smoke with Trump. But my thing here is Zelensky could have prevented all of this stuff right here. He could have prevented all of this stuff. Now, people have gone to their maker. Thousands of people. Now, we're here. He wants to make a deal now that we're here. Absurd. Absolutely absurd. Anyway, so everybody knows Biden is just making probably some BS decisions now that he's living in 42 days or 43 days. What is going on with Biden making hasty decisions now that he knows he's living in less than 2 months? You could have made all these decisions since last year, early this year, but now you leaving, he's making decisions. Check this man out.
Let's bring in KT McFarland, former Trump Deputy National Security Advisor. KT, great to see you this morning. It's kind of curious because it seems like Syria had been kind of quiet for a number of years, and then suddenly in the last couple of weeks, it exploded. Can you explain why that has happened over the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, all right. So Syria was governed by Assad, and he was weak and incompetent. And he was propped up in governance in Syria by Iran and by Russia, by Russian forces, by Russian military equipment, by, in some sense, Iran's money. But they're preoccupied now. As President Trump so rightfully said, Iran is preoccupied because of what Israel did to Iran and Hezbollah. And Russia is preoccupied because of Ukraine and a faltering economy. So those two guys propping up Assad, they weren't propping him up as well. And so the rebel groups, and there's not one rebel group, that's what's important to remember. There are a lot of different rebel groups. There's Turkish-backed ones, there's an ISIS Al-Qaeda rebel group. We're even in the middle of it with 900 American forces backing another rebel group. But the rebel groups got together and they saw a moment of opportunity and they moved into Syria. And so now who knows what's next? And President Trump is so right to say, let it play out. This is not our fight. I'm just sorry we have 900 American forces in that country, because who knows, are they sitting targets? Are they potential hostages?
So somebody's asking me, how did I get information that Zelensky is willing to give up territory? He says here on November 29th, it says, I will give up Ukrainian territory to Russia to achieve peace. I'm going to put it up here. Give me a moment. Let me put it up here for you. But too late, dog. Too late. People are already gone. Well, all that is on you, bro. That's all I'm going to say.
What's their role going to be? We don't know.
I agree. Let it play out, and we shouldn't be involved. But if we're funding, Turkey is funding groups, we're funding groups, Israel's funding groups, we are involved. So now what, KD?
Well, this is where you don't know what's going to happen. So in some ways, it's a very good thing because, Russia's taken down a peg and Iran has taken down a peg. Iran had used Syria to send weapons from Iran to Syria into Iran's proxy forces around Israel. So Israel's to an advantage, right? Because their adversaries are not being resupplied. Russia's down because Russia has military equipment there. Russia had a port there. So that's all good in a sense, but now you don't know what happens. It's not as if there's a unified rebel group. You could have fighting within the rebel groups. You could, on the other hand, have rebel leaders who say, I see the trend in the Middle East. It's going to be peace in the Middle East. It's not Iran. We don't like Iran. We see that the future of the Middle East is Arab-Israeli peace agreements. So you could have it the other extreme. I mean, I was with Henry Kissinger, Rachel, when he did the first 1973 disengagement agreements after the 1973 Arab-Israeli war. And Syria was always the hardest nut to crack. You know, Jordan, you could figure out Jordan, you could figure out Egypt, you could figure out the Saudis, you could figure out Israel. But Syria was always the hardest nut to crack because it's not one group. It's not one ethnic group in Syria. It's many ethnic groups. It's many tribes. And Bashar al-Assad's father was Hafez al-Assad. He was head of it then. But now you have nobody in charge. Now, that's a country that's been governed by one family for, what, 60 years? Not clear what happens next.
No, all the tribes, all the different ethnic groups fighting over who's going to control this area. That is basically underneath.
Okay, so I'm going to move from Syria right here because, yeah. Let's go to Zelensky. This is Zelensky right here. Okay. It's coming up. Give it a moment. Wait. Come on. I don't know if you guys can see though, but it says here, Zelensky, I will give up. Nope. Thank you. I don't know if you guys can read it. It's not coming up yet. Let me go get a clearer one for you guys. All right, let me see. Let me get a clearer version for you guys. Okay, so here we go. Zelensky, right? I will give up Ukrainian territory to Russia to achieve
peace. But if we want to stop
peace.
the hot stage of the war, we should take under NATO umbrella the territory of Ukraine that we have under our control. That's what we need to do fast. And then Ukraine can get back the other part of its territory diplomatically.
Really? So you couldn't do that earlier on? Now that the United States has sent $62 billion for munitions to Ukraine, now you want to give up a territory? Man, look at these people, bro. Now you want to give up a territory after $62 billion has been sent to you. Now my boy talking about he's willing to give up territory for peace. Of course, peace should have been your first conversation in the first place. In the first place. But I guess we're here right now, so yeah. On to the next. Okay. On to the next. I hope everything works out for Zelensky and the Ukrainian people. But this could have been avoided and, you know, a lot of lives that was lost could have been avoided. But now we're here. He's now willing to give up Ukrainian territory to achieve peace. Wild. All right, Tom Homan. You know Tom Homan ain't playing around.
Now, President Trump's first priority when taking office, securing the border.
You know, these are people who love our country and they're participating in our country. Those who are here committing crimes, robberies, shooting at police officers, raping innocent people, have been a harm to our country. I want to sit down and hear the plan on how we're going to address them. Those are the people I am talking about, and I would love to sit down with the border czar and hear his thoughts on how we're going to address those who are harming our citizens.
And that's New York City Mayor Eric Adams hoping to meet with incoming Trump administration border czar Tom Homan as he gets ready to deport illegal criminals from America. Joining me now is the man himself, incoming U.S. border czar Tom Homan. Tom, it's great to have you this morning. Thank you so much for being here. First, your reaction to what you're hearing from Mayor Adams, wanting to meet with you now. A bit of a 360 there, isn't it?
Yeah, but, you know, I'm pleased. I'll be meeting with him Thursday, and I hope we can partner on making New York City a safer community. President Trump's been clear we're going to prioritize public safety threats and national security threats. So I'm not surprised that Mayor Adams coming to the table, because I think his number one responsibility is protection of his communities. I'm shocked at other mayors and other governors who want to, put roadblocks up I can't believe any elected official does not want to remove public safety threats from their communities. But we're going to do it with them or without them. We're going to get this done.
Tom, we just saw this report from the New York Post that said that 58,000 illegal criminals are running around in New York right now. And that they've already been convicted of crimes. Tell me about that group. Is that correct? 58,000 people who are gang members, many of whom belong to this gang, Tren de Aragua, who is incredibly dangerous in New York right now, and another hundreds of thousands of them throughout America?
Yeah, but the number's low. Like we only know what we have reports on, we have information on. Remember, a lot of these sanctuary cities, when they book a foreign national in their jail, many of these sanctuary cities don't even ask them their nationality in fear that ICE will get their hands on information. So you can guarantee there's at least 58,000 and more. And as far as Tren de Aragua, they're going to be a major priority of the Trump administration. President Trump has made that promise. And we'll be concentrating on them right out of the gate. Them, MS-13, and other criminal elements.
Tell me how you're going to do this, Tom. What's the plan? Are you expecting to use the military to round up these people? How will you get them out of the country?
Well, look, first of all, I want to make something clear to exactly what we're going to do. For all these sanctuary cities pushing back, San Diego's writing legislation. You know, you got Colorado and other states and other cities saying they're going to prevent us doing what I'm doing. I want to send them a clear message. If you let us in the jail, we can arrest a bad guy in the jail, in the safety and security of a jail. One officer could do that. But when you release a public safety threat back in the community, you put the community at risk, you put my officers at risk, you put the alien at risk. Because here's what's going to happen. You're going to release that guy in the community, I'm going to send an entire team to go look for the guy in your community. And what's going to happen? We'll find that guy, and when we find that guy, there's probably going to be others that are not a priority. However, if they're in the country illegally, they'll be arrested too, because we're not going to tell an immigration officer like this Biden administration did that you're going to turn your back on a known immigration illegal. When you're an immigration officer, you have an oath to uphold. So you are forcing us into the community at large numbers where other non-priority aliens will be arrested. That's a result, the exact result you don't want. So let us in the jail. It's safer for everybody, and it's the right thing to do to secure communities. What we're going to do.
Tom Homan ain't playing around. This man ain't playing around. His face has been known to look like the border wall. What do you guys think about his face looking like the border wall? This ain't no joke. Tom Homan ain't playing around.
We're going to target, like I say, public safety threats and national security threats. We're going to send agents out on day one. We're already working on targeting. DOD, they've helped every administration. We would like DOD to help us in a lot of areas in transportation and infrastructure building, intelligence and targeting. But a sworn immigration officer with immigration authority will be making those arrests.
Yeah, I mean, you know what's great about the incoming administration is that all of you are on the same page. So you can be grabbing resources, I assume, and conversations from, like you said, defense, intelligence, to actually get the job done. Is that right? Are you coordinating on a whole of government officials throughout different agencies to ensure that you can secure the border and send these illegal criminals back?
Absolutely. I've been working very closely with Steve Miller. You know, Steve Miller was the architect of the first Trump administration with unprecedented success. We're talking about bringing everybody to the game. Other law enforcement agencies, DOD. I had to shut down my LinkedIn account because I got thousands of retired ICE agents, retired Border Patrol agents, retired police officers, retired military that want to come and do this job and make America safe again. There will be no lack of resources, but as your first segment was talking about, we need the money. We need the money to have more detention beds and more underground transportation and to conduct these operations. So I'm hoping the Hill see the light and give us the money we need to keep President Trump's promise, the mandate the American people gave him, and secure this nation, secure the border, and remove the illegal aliens from this country who are not supposed to be here. Even though we got a prioritization on public safety threats and national security threats, I want to be clear. If you're in the country illegally, you got a problem. Especially if you're a fugitive that had due process at great taxpayer expense. You were ordered removed by a federal judge. You went into hiding? No, we're going to be looking for you too. So this is going to be a huge operation. I'm looking forward to getting it started. I haven't started the operation yet, but I've already worked with the Texas governor on the plans and Texas border czar. I'm working with Mayor Adams. I met with hundreds of sheriffs the other day. The National Sheriff's Association is ready to go to work with us. So January 20th, game on.
So game on is right.
Game on. Flame on! Game on! Tom Homan ain't playing around. This man probably needs a game. Tom Homan and the border wall. He's deported. Oh no! Get him! Get down right now! Tom Homan on the way! Tom Homan gonna be in the game like, get down right now, put it down. Tom Homan and the border wall. Endorsed by Donald J. Trump, the 45th and the 47th. Get your copy now, Tom Homan.
Right. Look, how much money do you need? Stephen Miller said that he told me you need between $80 and $100 billion for the border alone. Do you believe you're going to need reconciliation for that? Can you just get that in January or February to conduct what you need to conduct?
Well, $86 billion a minimum. We're going to need as much money as Congress can get us because, look, right now what they're doing, they spent billions of dollars on releasing illegal aliens in this country, billions of dollars to NGOs to put an alien in a hotel room at $500 a night when we got empty ice beds, $127 a night. They're getting 3 hotel rooms, 3 meals, free medical care. What they're spending right now in the billions of dollars in perpetuity. This operation is going to be expensive to begin with, but in the long run, there's going to be huge tax savings for the American taxpayer.
Yes, of course, and life-saving. Tom, real quick, I've been to the border at least 5 times. I saw up close and personal how these young kids are being used, exploited by the drug cartels, making believe they're part of a family when they don't even know the kids. We saw pieces the other day where a 2-year-old was apprehended, a 10-year-old was apprehended. What happens in terms of the drug cartels and their business? They use kids to get them through the border, and then do they force them to pay money to the drug cartels while they're living in America? How does it work?
Absolutely. We had over 500,000 children trafficked in this country.
But one thing is for sure, over $80-something billion. That's way more money than Congress has sent to Ukraine. However, I mean, it's for repairing the border in the United States. But that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money to be, deporting people. That's a lot of money. But if it has to be done, it has to be done. And, people voted for it. People voted for Trump, and Trump has been saying he's going to deport people. He has to repair the border. He's been saying this for a long time. So, look, people voted for it, and you cannot just take that away from what Trump has been saying. He's been saying he's going to repair the border. He's going to deport illegals. And he's going to repair foreign policies, the economy, energy. These are the things he said he was going to do while he was campaigning, and people voted for it. So there's no turning back at this point.
Smuggled in this country by criminal cartels. This administration can't even find 340,000 of them that they released to unvetted sponsors. And we're going to try to find these kids and rescue them, but you're exactly right. Many of these kids are in forced labor to pay off their smuggling fees, which they'll never pay off, and many of them are in forced sex slavery. So President Trump is committed to finding these children. We got to do it and save these children and get them back to their families. We'll let the immigration consequences follow that, but we got to save many of these children who are living a day of hell every day because this administration let them come into the country at a 500,000 number, and they release them to unvetted sponsors, which we're going to find out. Many of them are predators. Many of them are traffickers and forced labor syndicates. So this is another rail of priority President Trump has promised the American people.
Unbelievable. Tom, thank you so much for your work. We will be watching your work closely. We appreciate your time this morning, sir.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for tuning in to the live show. You know what time it is. Double tap your screen. Let's get the likes up. Yeah, Tom Homan ain't playing around. January 20, game on, according to what you heard. But that's a lot of money to deport illegals. I'm not even going to cap.
What's happening?
All right, here we go.
In the Middle East. After 13 years of civil war in Syria, more than half a century of brutal authoritarian rule by Bashar Assad and his father before him.
He's always sounding like he just had dinner, or he just had lunch, or he just had a drink or something fresh in his mouth. It's like, I'm too late.
Rebel forces have forced Assad to resign his office and flee the country. We're not sure where he is, but there's word that he's in Moscow. At long last, the Assad regime has fallen. This regime brutalized and tortured and killed literally hundreds of thousands of innocent Syrians. The fall of the regime is a fundamental act of justice. It's a moment of historic opportunity for the long-suffering people of Syria to build a better future for their proud country. It's also a moment of risk and uncertainty. As we all turn to the question of what comes next, the United States will work with our partners and the stakeholders in Syria to help them seize an opportunity to manage the risks. You know, for years, the main backers of Assad have been Iran, Hezbollah, and Russia. But over the last week, their support collapsed, all three of them, because all three of them are far weaker today than they were when I took office. And let's remember why. After Hamas attacked Israel on October the 7th, 2023, when much of the world responded with horror, Iran and its proxies chose to launch a multi-front war against Israel. That was a historic mistake on Iran's part. Today, Iran's main territorial proxy, Hezbollah, is also on its back. Only 12 days ago, I spoke from the Rose Garden about the ceasefire deal in Lebanon, a deal that was only possible because Hezbollah has been badly degraded. Meanwhile, Hamas has been badly degraded as well. Iran's own military capabilities have been weakened. Iran tried 2 times to attack Israel in the United States and build a coalition of countries to directly defend Israel and help defeat those attacks. All this made possible for Iran and Hezbollah to continue to prop up, impossible, I should say, for them to prop up the Assad regime. Additionally, Russia's support for Assad also failed. And that's because Ukraine, backed by our American allies, has put up a wall of resistance against the invading Russian forces, inflicting massive damage on the Russian forces. And that has left Russia unable to protect its main ally in the Middle East. Excuse my cold. The upshot for all this is, for the first time ever, neither Russia nor Iran nor Hezbollah could defend this abhorrent regime in Syria. And this is a direct result of the blows that Ukraine, Israel, have delivered upon their own self-defense with unflagging support of the United States. You know, over the past 4 years, my administration pursued a clear and principled policy towards Syria. First, we made clear from the start sanctions on Assad would remain in place unless he engaged seriously in a political process to end the civil war, as outlined by the UN Security Council resolution passed in 2015. But Assad refused, so we carried out a comprehensive sanction program against him and all those responsible for atrocities against the Syrian people. Second, we maintained our military presence in Syria, our counter-ISIS, to counter the support of local partners as well on the ground, their partners, never ceding an inch of territory, taking out leaders of ISIS, ensuring that ISIS can never establish a safe haven there again. Third, we've supported Israel's freedom of action against Iranian networks in Syria and against actors aligned with Iran who transported lethal aid to Lebanon. And when necessary, ordered the use of military force against Iranian networks to protect U.S. forces. Our approach has shifted the balance of power in the Middle East. Through this combination of support for our partners, sanctions, diplomacy, and targeted military force when necessary, we now see new opportunities opening up for the people of Syria and for the entire region. Looking ahead, the United States will do the following. First, will support Syria's neighbors, including Jordan, Lebanon, Iraq, and Israel, should any threat arise from Syria during this period of transition. I will speak with leaders of the region in the coming days. I had long discussions with all of our people earlier this morning. And I'll send senior officials from my administration to the region as well. Second, we will help ensure stability in eastern Syria, protecting any personnel, our personnel, against any threats, and will remain our mission against ISIS will be maintained, including the security of detention facilities where ISIS fighters are being held as prisoners. We're clear-eyed about the fact that ISIS will try to take advantage of any vacuum to reestablish its capabilities and to create a safe haven. We will not let that happen. In fact, just today, U.S. forces conducted a dozen of precision strikes, airstrikes, within Syria, targeting ISIS camps and ISIS operatives. Third, we will engage with all Syrian groups, including within the process led by the United Nations, to establish a transition away from the Assad regime toward independent, sovereign, independent, I want to say it again, sovereign Syria, with a new constitution, a new government that serves all Syrians. And this process will be determined by the Syrian people themselves. And the United States will do whatever we can to support them, including through humanitarian relief, to help restore Syria after more than a decade of war and generations of brutality by the Assad family. And finally, we will remain vigilant. Make no mistake, some of the rebel groups that took down Assad have their own grim record of terrorism and human rights abuses. We've taken note of statements by the leaders of these rebel groups in recent days, and they're saying the right things now. But as they take on greater responsibility, we will assess not just their words, but their actions. And we are mindful that there are Americans in Syria, including those who reside there, as well as Austin Tice, who was taken captive more than 12 years ago. We remain committed to returning him to his family. As I've said, this is a moment of considerable risk and uncertainty, but I also believe this is the best opportunity in generations for Syrians to forge their own future, free of opposition. It's also an opportunity through far from certain, for a more secure and prosperous Middle East, where our friends are safe, where enemies are contained. And it would be a waste of this historic opportunity if one tyrant were toppled and only to see a new one rise up in its place. So it's now incumbent upon all the opposition groups to seek a role in governing Syria, to demonstrate their commitment to the rights of all Syrians, the rule of law, and the protection of religious and ethnic minorities. These past few days have been historic. And, it's in the days ahead that will determine the future of this country. And we intend to approach them with strength, wisdom, and resolve. Thank you very much. God bless America, and God protect our troops. Thank you.
What should happen to us?
And that was President Biden delivering some remarks.
Thank you for tuning into the live stream. You know what time it is. Yes, I had to handle business. I had to be a father, okay? I had to get my daughter ready for bed. But with that being said, okay? Did I just hear this guy say, excuse my code? Excuse my code, fellow Americans. I am going through code. But it is what it is. Shout out to the President of the United States. Life is, life isn't fair, people. But I guess Joe has it even harder. But with that being said, he's making decisions he should not be making concerning foreign policies. He has less than 50 days to go and is making these decisions. But he needs to chill. That's number one.
All right, joining us now, Texas Congressman Wesley Hunt. Sir, nice to see you. Okay, so Vivek and Elon going to Capitol Hill to meet with you guys. And, they're there to work with you, but are they kind of there to scare you as well? Like, hey, get on board with this, or we're going to leave you behind and there's going to be consequences if you don't really get to work on what we're working on here.
Well, I'm not scared at all. I mean, I'm a former Apache pilot, so they really can't scare me. But actually, to be honest with you, I am on board with this agenda because this is what President Trump wants. The American people gave him a mandate to streamline our federal government and to get away from status quo and business as usual. So if by scared you mean I'm fully on board with the agenda that President Trump has given Vivek and given Elon to come to Washington and make this place more palatable to the American public, I am all on board with that. And every single Republican should agree, because it is President Trump that delivered the presidency, the House, and the Senate for America. And so I welcome them with open arms, and I hope that we can all work together to do better for the American people.
Another mandate that President Trump laid out really is to bring home more after inflation pay for workers. Larry Kudlow calls this the blue worker collar boom, and it has to be the #1 priority. He's afraid that it's not. Take a listen to what Kudlow told us yesterday.
Put it all in there and get it done, and you can get it done by mid-year. Don't flinch. Don't hesitate, okay? Right. He who hesitates is lost, and show the public that you care. And remember what Trump said victory speech election night, promises made, promises kept. Tax cuts were a big promise.
Are you confident that tax cuts are the #1 priority?
I think the #1 priority for us is certainly securing our border, #1, getting our economy reined in, #2, and I think taxes needs to be taken care of in the first 6 months. And Larry Kudlow is one of the smartest men that I've ever seen on Fox. And I tell you something, we should listen to him, because he has his finger on the pulse for middle America, and middle America is why President Trump won. We're talking about no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, and then it allows the American people to have more money in their pocket to reinvest back in this economy so we can get out of this inflated state that we have seen for the past 4 years. We must deliver this as swiftly as possible, because, again, this is the mandate that's been given to President Trump by the middle class, by the working class, and by the American people.
Thank you for tuning in one more time. He's right. He's definitely right. One thing is for sure, the Republican Congress and Senate, they have to come together. They have to come together and support the OG. They have to come together. The Senate and the House, they have to come together. The Senate and the House of Representatives have to come together to pass every law this guy wants to pass. As long as it's obviously 40 people, which I believe most of his laws are going to be 40 people. So, his mandate is make America great again. And that's why the people voted. He won the popular vote. He won the Electoral College. And he won all swing states. So that's like a big statement. That's a big statement right there. So they got to let him do what he got to do. Now Pete Hegseth and what's her name? Tulsi is going to have a hard time for sure.
A busy week on Capitol Hill for President-elect Trump's cabinet picks. Pete Hegseth will be back for another meeting with Senator Joni Ernst early this week. Meanwhile, DNI picked Tulsi Gabbard is set to start meeting with GOP senators and likely will face scrutiny over views, including on Syria, a 2017 trip where she met with Bashar al-Assad himself. House Majority Whip Tom Emmer joins us now. Great to see you, Congressman. Let's walk through the cabinet picks together for just a moment. Pete is the center of attention right now. How do you feel we stand here today with the chances for Pete Hegseth's confirmation as Secretary of Defense?
Well, this may surprise some people who are watching, but Republicans in Washington, D.C. are absolutely united behind Donald Trump's picks for his cabinet. He's come to Washington, Will, and he's shaking up the status quo. You can't fix what's been broken over the last 30 years, and in particular over the last 4 years. You can't fix what they broke with the same people who broke it. So he's bringing people from the outside, people with fresh new ideas. They will bend the curve when it comes to thought about what we're going to do with our Department of Defense, what we're going to do with all of these different executive agencies that, quite frankly, have been running on their own initiative for years.
I love that you said Republicans will align with Donald Trump's pick, his vision for America. But it is right now Republicans that people are concerned about when it comes to confirming these cabinet picks. Joni Ernst, we'll see after meetings with Pete Hegseth this week. It looks like it's headed in a positive direction. Do you feel confident? You've whipped votes in the House. You know John Thune. He whips in the Senate. Or you feel confident Republicans will live up to what you just said? They will fall behind Donald Trump's picks in the Senate.
Very confident. With the picks that he has out there right now, yes, absolutely. And Pete Hegseth is a warrior. He's a hero. He's a Minnesota hero who actually experienced combat, unlike our governor who said he was in combat but never went. And he's exactly the right choice, and this is what he'll be communicating with all of these senators about, to change the Harris-Biden culture at the DOD. They seem to be more concerned with this woke nonsense than they are in having a military apparatus that actually does its job.
And what you're talking about, by the way, war fighters lining up to publicly announce their support for Pete Hegseth. We're going to talk about that more throughout the morning. It's coming together, including veterans of the Afghan evacuation who are signing their name in support of Pete Hegseth. Real quick, Democrats. Think there's any Democrats that'll come over? I mean, obviously, we're all looking at John Fetterman.
Well, let's be clear. Democrats got a real smack in the face on November 5th. All of these things that they've been doing, the transgender stuff, boys and girls sports, it isn't what America wants. America wants Trump's America First agenda. It's about creating an economy that works for everybody again, unleashing American energy, securing the southern border, creating peace and stability around the globe. That's what people are hungry for. Democrats had the wrong message. And I think you're going to see some Democrats. I give you an example, maybe one senator in Georgia who's going to have a real tough reelection in a couple of years that's got to look at what do his people actually expect.
Interesting.
You saw it on November 5th. I think people like the senator in Georgia are going to be looking very carefully about, I better start reacting to what the people actually want. I better start listening to them.
That will be fascinating to watch. Maybe not just Senator John Fetterman. I don't know if it will include John Fetterman, but several possible Democrats. Let's move, though, beyond Hegseth for a moment, because you said you think Republicans will align behind Donald Trump's picks, plural. Now attention moves to Tulsi Gabbard. I imagine, by the way, after attention focuses on Tulsi Gabbard, it'll continue to move on. It could possibly then move to RFK. Do you see united Republican support for Tulsi, for RFK?
Yeah, remember, human beings are emotional animals. So when this smear campaign begins, much like it has with Pete Hegseth, I mean, you got to look at the allegations against Pete Hegseth are from all anonymous sources. This is what they do. This is an organized effort by Democrats to smear these picks. When it doesn't work with Pete Hegseth, when he goes around and he convinces these senators of who he really is as opposed to what they want him to believe, they'll move on to Tulsi Gabbard, and we'll probably get the same experience with Tulsi. Once they take care of that, then we'll probably get the same experience with RFK.
And it's a two-level fight, because you're right to point to Democrats, because essentially the media and Democrats are inseparable. They're one and the same. So the attacks begin in the media. But the second level is how those fights in the media affect Republican senators. Because the GOP has 53 Senate seats. You can confirm all of Donald Trump's picks tomorrow if Republicans are united.
Well, and that's what we need to do.
And that is the case. You can confirm all Trump's pick tomorrow if all the GOP personnel, these people need to unite. I mean, what is going on, guys? These guys have had 2 attempts on him. He was impeached in 2020, Russia hoax. All of this stuff happened to him, and still his own people would not come together as one. So if they cannot come together for just cabinet positions, how are they going to come together for things like the border, things like foreign policies, things like tax cuts? Well, tax cut, everybody wants tax cut anyway, so they're going to come together for that one for sure. But it's like, how are they going to come together for school choice? How are they going to come together for upgrade for the veterans in the military? How are they going to come together for stuff like that? If you cannot even come together for cabinet positions, yeah, this ain't finna work.
Administration needs to be running on day one. If you look at the House, for instance, the Whip's office that I run has been having member listening sessions for months, getting ready for reconciliation next year. We are not sitting still, neither is the Senate. Once we come in January, and it can't come quick enough, you got to be ready to move.
All right. Congressman Tom Emmer, always great to see you.
Good to see you, Will.
Yeah, man. Look at this guy shaking like Trump. Look at him. Yo, man, this is why I like guys at Fox, man. They just look cool. Everybody's cool at Fox. I ain't gonna cap. You have some cool people at CNN too, but MSNBC, hell no.
So President Trump takes steps to make America the
All right, here we
global
go.
leader in AI and crypto by appointing former PayPal COO Dave Sachs and the White House. He's the White House AI czar as well as a crypto czar. Can he do both? How can we win this race against China and integrate into research and development everything that we learn, everything that we know, and also make sure it gets to the battlefield? Defense advocate, a guy that's got a lot of respect in Washington and around the country and certainly in Silicon Valley, joins us now, former Wisconsin congressman who has got another job now. He's head of defense at Palantir, and he's a Hudson Institute fellow. Mike Gallagher, who's out at the Reagan Defense Forum. Great to see you, Congressman. I hear you loving your new job. First off, how do you feel about a czar of AI and crypto?
Well, I think it's a great idea. David Sachs is incredibly smart. And I think it's very smart of President Trump to form these relationships with the tech community, whether it's with Sachs, whether it's with Elon, whether it's with leaders at my company, Palantir, like our CTO, Shyam Sankar. Building that bridge between the cutting edge of the tech sector and the government is essential because we can't do what China does, right? We don't want to do it. We don't want the government to control everything. We need to find a way for the private sector and the public sector to partner collectively. I think this is also great news, the Sachs appointment in particular, for those who want America to be the epicenter of innovation for crypto. So if Congress can step up and pass a sensible legislation that unleashes market forces, that does simple things like define.
Exactly, Average Joe. Shout out to Average Joe, man. Yeah, this was why I like Average Joe. Well, he's always here every time, so shout out to Average Joe. So look, Average Joe says Biden speaks, we're all very loyal. Exactly. Secure the border. I mean, shouldn't you have loyalists who wants to secure the border? Shouldn't you have loyalists who wants to make sure foreign policies are golden? Shouldn't you have loyalists when it comes to school choice? When it comes to helping the veterans, when it comes to mortgage rates, when it comes to inflation, energy. You should have loyalists, dog. You should have loyalists, okay? You should. You should. People are saying he breeds authoritarian. How do you pronounce that word? Let me go there. Let me go see. It promotes authoritarianism. What? Nope. As long as it's for the future of the United States, as long as it's for the good of the United States. I don't think it promotes authoritarianism like you mentioned. I don't think so. I absolutely do not think so. Okay, it's for the good of the United States. They need to come together. The GOP party they've had this reputation of not being in sync, of not being together, of not being organized. This is why the Democratic Party have always had some edge over the Republican Party, because they are so organized. They come together, they agree on a goal, and everybody just goes there like a zombie. Okay, but the Republicans are always like, oh, maybe no, maybe yes, maybe no, maybe yes. It's like, come on, dog.
The role of the SEC versus the CFTC, I think we'll be in a great position. And then on AI, that's where the Pentagon needs to step up and take the lead and at least spend more money on AI. Right now, it spends about 2.2% of its budget on AI. We should at least be getting towards 2% of the budget.
So interesting. You're on the outside. You're a Marine. You fight in the wars. You came out. You tried to find out. You get involved in foreign policy. But as you try to stay cutting edge, you look at the Pentagon, as much respect as I have for people that work there, they failed 7 audits, and they've been called slow and plotting by people on the inside, like 4-star General Jack Keane. How do we get your cutting edge people into the Pentagon and move together to make us a stronger force?
At least 3 ways, Brian. The first is it does start with leadership from the White House and the Secretary of Defense. The bureaucracy will resist change unless the Secretary of Defense, backed by a powerful president, wakes up every single day and forces the change to happen. That's the lesson of Secretary Gates and the MRAP. That's the lesson of Melvin Laird and the rise of the all-volunteer military. That's the lesson of Reagan's 600-ship Navy. You need that basic leadership in place. The second thing, we can make it easier for those who are in the tech sector to come and serve in a non-traditional reserve capacity. The Pentagon actually has the authority right now to do this, but it doesn't use that authority aggressively and creatively enough. The final thing I would say is we just need to be clear-eyed about the nature of the threat we're facing. The Chinese Communist Party wants to displace us as the world-leading power, and they want to dominate the commanding heights of critical technology, to include AI, to include quantum. We cannot allow that to happen. We have to work with our allies and partners to ensure that we dominate the commanding heights of critical technology, and therefore prevent the dystopian future that the Chinese Communist Party wants, not only for its own people, but to export around the world from becoming the reality in 5 years from now.
And you are announcing something big, too, Palantir, at the Reagan Defense Forum, too, correct?
Yes, we are partnering with Anduril, the other biggest non-traditional defense company, to launch basically an AI Manhattan project where we're going to collect all of the data that is sitting at the edge that is currently evaporating, it's being wasted, beam it into our enterprise software, apply artificial intelligence to it, and make it useful and actionable to the warfighter. For a modest investment of resources, we can actually make a quantum leap in technology and give the warfighters the absolute best tools and weapons they need to accomplish the mission and come home safe. Ask yourself, if we truly believe that Xi Jinping was going to invade Taiwan in 2027, how would we act differently than we're acting right now? Well, we would put the Pentagon on a war footing, and America's best technology companies, whether they're defense technology companies or purely commercial companies, would work together to deliver for America's warfighters so that we don't actually have to fight a war with China. In order to prevent World War III, we need to put the Pentagon on a war footing, and the private sector needs to step up, which is what Anduril and Palantir are doing with this big strategic partnership.
Yeah, but people like, and it can't fault them, that don't understand AI, and very few people do, how are they supposed to integrate it into the armed forces? I mean, there's only a handful of people at your level that get it, right?
Well, there is a fluency issue, which is why I think the Pentagon needs to stop trying to build a lot of these tools internally. There's actually a law that requires them to look to commercially available software. There's a commercial preference embedded into the law, and they violate this law continually. They try to do all these software hobby projects internally. They waste time. They waste resources. The cutting edge is in the private sector right now, so that's the challenge. How do we harness the cutting edge in the private sector, bring it into the Pentagon, and have that collaborative working environment rather than the Pentagon trying to build everything internally or hiring consultants that don't know how to do it?
Yeah, the polls show in the Reagan Defense Forum that a lot of people believe in this country. They want to support Ukraine. They want a strong defense, and they want America to lead the world. So I feel good about that. I know you do, too. Enjoy this weekend out in California. Thanks so much for taking a break and joining us, Mike Gallagher. Great to see you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian.
Thank you one more time for tuning into the live show. You know what time it is. Double tap your screen. Let's get the likes up, everybody. So Paul Davis, for some reason, I think Average Joe blocked Paul Davis. Okay, so Paul, whatever you did, please don't do it again. Because, you know, I like you, okay? I like you, Paul. I'm not even going to cap. I like you. I was just wondering, where the heck is Paul? But Average Joe sent you out. I don't know why, but if you do it again and you get sent out, I'm going to wash my hands, okay? I only get to do this one time, okay? I can bring you back one time if you get blocked. But after that, you gone, okay? All right. With that being said, what is Ronald Reagan's... Is this like a Ronald Reagan's week? I think that's what's going on, okay? This is probably like a Ronald Reagan's week. Anyway, now is the time to portray strength. Former National Security Advisor says. Let's get it. Of course, I can't even see. There's no screen to see anything, guys.
Welcoming you
All right, let me
to
go
his
see.
library here at Simi Valley, California.
Let me go see. Nope. All right, let's get it back. Let's get it back. Let's get it back. I think my computer is just all over the place. My computer is all over the place for sure. What is going on here? All right, let me see. All right. Okay. Let's get it done. Let's get it done. Here we go.
Ronald Reagan on his favorite horse, El Alamein, welcoming you to his library here at Simi Valley, California. The statue called Along the Trail has a secret fireproof compartment inside containing one of Reagan's prized belt buckles and a piece of the Berlin Wall. Groundbreaking for the library began before Reagan left office in November of 1988 and opened to the public 3 years later. Fundraising and construction costs were paid entirely by private donations to the Ronald Reagan Presidential Foundation. The 29-acre library campus sits amid 100 acres of pristine land on top of the hill in Simi Valley next to Thousand Oaks, California. The library holds more than 63 million pages of documents, more than 670,000 feet of film, and more than 46,000 video and audio recordings.
We will finish our job. How could we do less? We're Americans.
As well as a recreation of the Oval Office during Reagan's time in office.
President Reagan, of course, saw our nation through historically tense moments in the world stage, namely in the final days of the Cold War. Now, a new administration is preparing to face several critical foreign policy tests with some of the very same adversaries. Joining me now to share his insights, former National Security Advisor to President Trump and author of At War with Ourselves, My Tour of Duty in the Trump White House, General H.R. McMaster, also the Fouad and Michelle Ajami Senior Fellow at the Hoover Institution out here in California. General, thanks for joining us. Good to see you.
Hey, Shannon, great to be with you. Thanks for having me.
Okay, so a lot of serious challenges waiting the incoming Trump administration. Round two for them. You said at one point you liked Trump's disruptive nature. You thought it was helpful. How does it factor into a second term?
Well, it factors in considerably, and that was like the best lead-in for a historian. Thank you for that, because we are dealing with a lot of the same adversaries and the same kind of complexities. And as when I took on the job as National Security Advisor in 2017, soon after the president was inaugurated, there was a lot that needed to be disrupted in Washington. And I think, again, President Trump, because of his disruptive nature, the Washington outsider, like Reagan was actually, a Washington outsider, has the opportunity to challenge that conventional wisdom and put into place some really major shifts in U.S. foreign policy, I think especially in the Middle East at this moment.
What do you think happens there? Because I do have this from him. He has issued a warning on Trump on Truth Social with a post there. He says, if the hostages aren't released prior to January 20th, 2025, the date I proudly assume office as President of the United States, there will be, quote, all hell to pay in the Middle East. He says he wants those hostages home before he is sworn in. How do you think a policy shift happens with him in that situation?
Okay, well, first of all, I love it because there's been so much talk about, well, we need to cease fire in Gaza. We need, no, actually, until Hamas is destroyed, in my belief, you can't have any better life for the Palestinians, and certainly you have to get the hostages back. So I would like to see us working more actively with the Israelis and others to get the hostages back, but also to make Iran pay the price for their terrorist and proxy network across the region. There's a huge opportunity at this moment, Shannon, because of really what the Israelis have done to crush Hezbollah, with these recent attacks. Now you see how reliant Assad was in Syria on Hezbollah. The Assad regime is collapsing. And I think what you're seeing is those external arms, those terrorist arms of Iran, really countered in such a way that it creates a huge opportunity. Iran, I believe, has always been very weak. We act, we act like they're strong and have all this sort of language about de-escalation. But I think President Trump understands. He used to say to me, everywhere I look where there's a problem in the Middle East, there's Iran. And he's right about that.
So when you talk about opportunity, and he uses these words, all hell to pay, what are the practical things you think that he could or would do to handle that situation and differently than this administration has?
Well, I think some things are absolutely going to happen right away, which is really to tighten the grip on the Iranians from a financial perspective, from an interdiction of, their ghost fleet and so forth. Maybe secondary sanctions on banks, Chinese banks and others. China buys 97% of Iran's oil. So they're feeding Iran's ATM so they can continue these proxy wars against us, their Arab neighbors, and Israel, and employ this strategy of really expending every Arab life, to accomplish their aims of kicking us out of the Middle East and destroying Israel and killing all the Jews. So financial pressure, but also I think you're going to see military action against these Iranian proxy forces and maybe against Iran itself. Iran has conducted hundreds of attacks against U.S. forces and locations in the Middle East since the October 7th mass murder attacks against Israel. And we've only really responded to very few of those. So I think imposing cost on Iran, isolating Iran financially and economically, I think that's going to happen immediately in the Trump administration.
So the Reagan National Defense Survey asked a lot of questions about how people are feeling about all of these different challenges, and there was enormous concern from Americans about this grouping of Iran, Russia, North Korea, and China. That seems to have beefed up, if anything, those alliances over the last few years. How does President Trump, how does his defense team begin to dismantle or separate or divide the power that they found in working together?
Well, I think, Shannon, I would take an opposite view of this, of some people. Some people think you should try to separate them. I think we should glue them together. Because whenever we act like they're separate, they get to cover for each other and act like they're not operating together. It's kind of crazy when you think about it. The first major land war in Europe since World War II, and North Koreans are joining the Russians in their onslaught against the Ukrainian people. Now there's a Yemeni battalion going to Ukraine. You have the Shahed drones from the Iranians. Millions of artillery rounds, I think 6 to 8 million artillery rounds from North Korea transferred to the Russians. What do they get in return? I believe they're getting assistance for their missile program, probably their nuclear programs for Iran and North Korea. So this axis of aggressors, I think, has to be dealt with together. And this is why I think President Trump will come to the conclusion that it's important to support Ukraine in this fight, this defensive war, not just because, for Ukraine, which is important in and of itself, but because it's connected to these cascading crises in the Middle East and looming crisis in the Indo-Pacific, where China has become much more aggressive.
Okay, so there's a lot to unpack there because there are so many different fronts that we're talking about. So let's talk about Ukraine. Reuters says this, just summing up what we've heard from President Trump. He's repeatedly pledged during his election campaign to end the nearly 3-year-old conflict within 24 hours of his January 20th inauguration, if not before then, but has yet to say how. I know that you were critical of sort of the quick fix in Afghanistan and how that fell apart. Absolutely. Are you worried about how this is potentially going to come together? Do you think that President Trump has a plan for something that is long-standing, enduring with respect to that conflict and getting it done?
What I'm worried about is this kind of flawed idea that Putin can be placated, right? That Putin will come to some kind of a deal. Putin is determined to restore Russia to national greatness, and to do that by subsuming all of Ukraine and subverting all of Europe and subverting the United States. Look at what they're doing from a cyber-enabled disinformation campaign against us all the time. And so I think it's really important for President Trump to adhere to his instinct in this connection, which is consistent with Reagan, peace through strength. And so Putin, I will not come to an acceptable settlement, I don't believe, until he believes that he's losing. And so I would say step A, provide the kind of support that Ukraine's always needed. I think President Trump should criticize the Biden administration's approach of just meting out this assistance little by little. Tanks, no tanks, missiles, no missiles. Can you use the missiles or can you not use the missiles? How about giving what they need to defend themselves and then saying to Putin, you're going to lose this war?
Okay, I want to make sure that we get to China, too.
I don't know. Look, I don't know. Well, at this point, Russia is they've proven that they're not some sort of formidable force. However, I wouldn't want the United States to make an enemy out of Russia. Okay, especially Trump. I don't want Trump to make an enemy out of Russia. He can, post a truth post and say, he already did anyway. He said he knows Vladimir very much, and he knows Vladimir wants to make a deal. So he's saying this. He knows Putin wants to make a deal. So that is the kind of negotiation tactic I want Trump to take. Social media type, message passing in a way where it's like, okay, this is what I think you should be doing, Putin. Okay, don't be making this war go any further. You shouldn't be approving any kind of more ammunitions to Ukraine. And it should be now peace. Now you could do it on a down low. You could definitely send more armors to Ukraine on a down low, but that's after the peace. Well, Trump is a man of his word. Well, he's pride himself in being a man of his word. So he said he's going to end the war, and that's the number one priority. End the war, let people stop dying. However, Ukraine needs to fortify themselves, but not just for against Russia. Just as a country, you want to be capable of protecting yourself and your people. But the fight with Russia is just a nonsensical thing to me, especially when it's lives of people involved. Okay, it's just nonsensical.
To which you mentioned, and in the survey here, the Reagan National Defense Survey, it was the #1 concern that Americans think that is our biggest adversary. And on this issue of whether or not or how much we should be helping Taiwan, 61% said they support increasing U.S. military presence in the Indo-Pacific region, and 55% say they are for increased arms sales by the U.S. to Taiwan. We know, though, that there are billions of dollars in outstanding sales that Taiwan has made a contract with us. We've not been able to deliver for a number of reasons.
Right.
So how does he come in and manage that situation?
Well, I think President Trump is pretty darn consistent in some areas, right? He's sometimes you don't know, is he going to be committed to Taiwan? What's going to happen in Ukraine? But some things are really clear. He understands the need to build up our defense industrial base. He understands peace through strength and the need to vastly increase our military capabilities. I think on Taiwan, that will be very attractive to him, that Taiwan wants to take responsibility for their own defense. I mean, I think it's $22 billion of backlogged arms purchases from the United States. I mean, that's good for the United States. That's American jobs. But hey, also, it's a heck of a lot cheaper to prevent a war than to have to fight one. So I think now's the time to portray strength. I think the president will do that not only from, I think, massive investments in defense, which we need. We're not big enough as a force. We have a bow wave deferred modernization, but also on our industrial base as well, and our supply chains, many of which are vulnerable to being interrupted by China.
Well, there is a lot for the new Trump administration to confront. General, thanks for discussing it with us. Great to see you.
Shanna, great to be with you.
Yes, sir. Thank you for tuning in to the live show one more time. Okay, Paul, I got you. I blocked you already. Thank you, Paul. All right, with that being said, we're going to go to the gates of Hollywood right now. We're going to go to the gates of Hollywood. I know, I know, guys. We're going to go to the gates of Hollywood. What is going on here? Check it out. Sad to see, bro. Here we go.
It is a new hour here on Live Now from Fox, and we do have some breaking news that we want to bring to you. It was being reported by TMZ and now Fox News. We are learning that Jay-Z is accused of raping a 13-year-old girl. That is new in the Diddy lawsuit, and the new allegations are just coming out this evening. Jay-Z is being accused of raping a minor along with Diddy at a MTV VMAs after party back in 2000, according to documents obtained by Fox News Digital tonight. The lawsuit, which was initially filed back in October, was refiled tonight in New York by an anonymous accuser claiming Jay-Z, whose full name is Sean Carter, raped her while Combs and Celebrity B watched. So that other celebrity was not named. Initially, the lawsuit stated Combs raped the minor while Celebrity A and Celebrity B watched. Carter was named as Celebrity A in the refiled lawsuit. Representatives for Jay-Z did not immediately respond to Fox News Digital request for comment. Combs and Carter allegedly, quote, took turns assaulting the minor, according to the...
Oh, my Lord. What is going on here, guys? This is spicy, but in a bad way. I already knew this day was coming. As soon as Diddy got what he got, I knew this was coming for Hove. Hove has been an inspiration to a lot of people in the United States, worldwide, business. He's done a lot of stuff worldwide that, people respect. In Hollywood, is like a huge star, is a billionaire, same with Diddy. But now it's like This is going to squeeze out a lot of money, resources from him. It's going to squeeze a lot out of him. And if this keeps going, I don't know. He may need a pardon. Look, he may need a pardon, guys. Shout out to Niecy Lee. I call her Nikki Lee, but she said her on her live stream. Yes, guys. Niecy Lee does her live stream. So if you want to go on live stream with Niecy Lee, go check her out. She said that's the way it's actually pronounced. Niecy Lee. Shout out to Niecy Lee one more time. All right, so look, with Hove, all right. This is going to take a lot from Hove. This right here is going to take a lot of resources. His name is definitely going to be smeared. I mean, this is called, what do you call this? Guilty by association. Is that what you call this? Because, I mean, I don't know if it's his best friend, but his friend is Sean Combs, and his name happens to be Sean Carter. So Sean Carter and Sean Combs are in hot pepper soup. And this is spicy bad. I mean, this is bad. Two of the great influential hip-hop businessman in Hollywood who happens to be African American. Well, I'm just gonna call them Americans because I am from Africa. I'm the true African American. Okay, they happen to be brown skin. That's what you could call them, Americans with brown skin. It is what it is. They happen to be the biggest names in Hollywood when it comes to hip hop and business, and you know, the drinking business and tequila lines and all that stuff. If this happens and both of them go down, what is left of Hollywood? That's the question right here. What is left of Hollywood? Put it in the chat, man. What is left of Hollywood? Is the whole thing just going down in shambles? Is this whole game called Hollywood, this whole industry that our kids dream of to be artists, filmmakers, entertainers, vocalists, pianists, just to be in the Hollywood glitz and glamour? Is it all facade? Is it all corrupt? Is it all BS? Is it all draining of your morality? What is going on here?
Lawsuit. Many others were present at the after party but did nothing to stop the assault, it alleges. The 13-year-old girl was dropped off at Radio City Music Hall by a friend as she wanted to attend the MTV Video Music Awards back in 2000, according to the lawsuit. In an attempt to gain entry to the venue, she began approaching limousine drivers waiting outside the celebrity-filled event. One of the limousine drivers she spoke to claimed to work for Diddy, the lawsuit read. He told her that Combs liked younger girls and said that, quote, she fit what Diddy was looking for, not allowing her into the awards, but inviting her to an after party. The 13-year-old, quote, recognized many celebrities upon arrival at the party and was required to sign a non-disclosure agreement. However, she was not given a copy. Combs, who would have been 30 years old at the time, then allegedly attempted to force the girl to perform oral sex on him. He stopped after she hit him in the neck, according to the lawsuit here. So now Jay-Z being accused in...
Man, this ain't good. Nah. This is not good, guys. This ain't good. Hell no, this ain't good. Nah, this is bad. It tastes bad, smells bad, looks bad. Everything looks bad, guys.
This now 24 years ago, raping a 13-year-old alongside Diddy at an after party here. So these are the newest allegations rocking the music world this evening, and we wanted to bring that to your attention all right here on Live Now from Fox. Of course, we will continue to follow this major story as the Diddy saga continues, and now more celebrities getting caught up in it here.
They're getting caught up in it, guys. Everybody, look, it's too spicy, okay? This is just too spicy. This is just too traumatizing. This is just like wet. So these people are considered heroes of the young men in our society, growing up, looking up to Hov, looking up to Diddy, looking up to these celebrities in Hollywood and saying, one day I want to be like that. And then you find out that your mentor, well, maybe not your mentor, your someone you look up to like an icon, like a legend, is the definition of the worst. I don't know, guys. I do not know. That's too sad. Way too sad. Absolutely sad. I don't know why this is happening to them, but whatever they did to get into this hot mess, shoot. I hope they survive it, that's all I can say, because, I mean, they both have kids. I hope they can survive it, because I don't know. I just don't know what to believe, guys. Most people are saying, like, two of the biggest names in Hollywood hip-hop, this is happening to them, and I mean, what is all this? A lot of people are being skeptical, but I don't know what to say, okay? I do not know what to say. I just know if they actually did it, they need to face the consequences, because as an adult, it is your job to be responsible for your actions, okay? So if they did it, if they actually did it, then they need to face the consequences, all right? You're going to have to face the consequences. All right, but I mean, from OJ to Bill Cosby to, it's like no icon from, I guess, the brown skin community ever last. You know, even Michael Jackson couldn't catch a break. Who then can catch a break? It's like the whole thing is just stinking. The whole Hollywood has, I mean, hey. The whole Hollywood is just stinking, guys. I'm sorry to say, guys. I'm sorry. Too spicy.
Sir, there is incredible unrest in Syria.
Yeah.
Do you think that Bashar al-Assad could fall?
Well, you know, it's amazing because he stayed for years under, you would think, much more adverse conditions. And all of a sudden, just rebels are going and are taking over large pieces of territory. Yeah. It's not, I don't think it's looking very good for him. Who would have thought that was going to happen? Because for 10 years, I mean, the guy was fighting all odds, and all of a sudden, it's like people are just taking over his country. So I don't know. People have bet against him for a long time, and so far that hasn't worked, but this seems to be different.
Let me ask you, sir, as you think about your inauguration, I remember your first inaugural address, you talked about American carnage. Have you thought about your message for your second inaugural address?
I have.
Can you give us a preview?
We're going to have a message that will make you happy, unity. It's going to be a message of unity. And again, I think success brings unity. And I've experienced that. I've experienced it in my first term, as I said. We're going to be talking about unity. We're going to be talking about success, making our country safe, keeping people that shouldn't be in our country out. We have to do that. I know it doesn't sound nice, but we have to do that. But basically, it's going to be about bringing our country together.
And no American carnage.
No American carnage. No. What do you mean by American?
That was one of the big quotes of your first inaugural address. It sounds like the tone, based on what I'm hearing, is going to be different from this inaugural address.
Well, we had a very...
One thing I got to tell y'all is Trump is so welcoming. He is forgiving. He gives people a benefit of the doubt. I mean, why are you even giving NBC a chance? Especially her. always trying to get a headline and trying to do a gotcha moment on this dude every single time. Every single time. And he still gives them the benefit of the doubt. But he always like dominates the interviews he does with them anyway. So it's like, okay, bet. However, it's like, bro, when are you going to say enough is enough? Y'all are just FAKE news. Okay, so chill. If y'all are not going to be fair, why should you, or why should I even give you an opportunity to get this privilege? It's a privilege, dog. It's a privilege to interview me. Okay? It's a privilege to interview me. This is his first official interview since winning the presidential election. And then he gives it to NBC. And guess what? They were all trying to do the gotcha moment. The goddamn gotcha moment. Damn.
Successful 4 years, actually. And the first, we had a very, very successful. If you look at what we've done with the biggest tax cuts in history, we had a safety and military that was incredible. We defeated ISIS, which nobody thought could be done in a short period. I did it in a matter of weeks, and people thought it was going to take 5 years to do. No, we did a lot of things. The rebuilding of our military was a big thing. Think of all the things that wouldn't have happened. Russia wouldn't have attacked Ukraine, if I were president. Israel wouldn't have had October 7th. We wouldn't have had inflation because inflation was caused largely by energy prices. You know, so many other things wouldn't have happened. You look at Afghanistan, that disaster. So we're going to bring our country back, and we're going to bring it, we're going to try and unify our country.
Sir, when you think about your time in office, you are making history for a range of reasons, including the fact you will be the oldest.
Shout out to that one guy. He says, Lord, bro's out here glazing Trump. Forgiven the man who said he has a list of people who crossed him. Chill out, bro. Bro. I know you see that this man was indicted of all the things they said he did. The FBI went to his house in Mar-a-Lago and they said he took classified document. Okay. And here you are saying that I am glazing Trump and this man has a list of people. You must have been watching Kamala a lot, because Kamala says, this is what Kamala said. For the softies and swifties and weaklings, she said, picture me with my list, no, with my to-do list, and picture him with his list of his revenge list or retribution list. What are you even saying? To-do list? You ain't done nothing for the past 4 years. You were considered the border czar. Guess what you did? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And here we have that one guy. You are definitely that one guy. Damn. They blocked you, bro. I was trying to reply. Average Joe don't even waste any. I'm not even gonna cap. Average Joe is just that one guy that gets you. Before I reply you, he gets you. I promise you. I try to reply everybody who tries to make a conversation with me, because if you do not agree with me, it is absolutely fine. You have your right to have an opinion. I have my right to have an opinion. You can disagree with me. I don't even do disagree to agree. I don't want to agree with you. I just want to have a dialogue with you. I want to converse. Okay? We don't have to do agree to disagree or disagree to agree. No, we could disagree to disagree. Like, we don't have to agree at all. But you're just that one guy, okay? And unfortunately for you, Average Joe 2 is just that one guy who gets shot at. Yeah. But it is what it is. Anyway, look, these people have been proven to be fake news. They're saying exactly what they did against him. They went after him, and once they knew they may not win the election, they started saying, you know what? Let's put out a rhetoric that he will be the one making the list to go after us. No, you went after him. You definitely went after him. You tried. You took his money. You took his energy. You took his time, knowing fully well he was running for re-election. Do you know what it takes to run a campaign? The energy it takes to travel across the nation, to speak to people, rallies, campaigns, roundtable conversation, shaking hands, carrying babies, going to McDonald's. Like, it takes a lot of work. But yeah, you have a champion standing, still giving people the benefit of the doubt. I don't know why he does it, but he does do it. He does it. I mean, look, this is who he is. He's a man with a big heart, and he likes to give people the benefit of the doubt. But with that being said, I don't know, man. This next 4 years, they have to change the way the press secretary takes questions and the way the president actually answers questions. They need to have podcasters, people who actually ask reasonable questions, okay, about the border, about the foreign policy, about the inflation, mortgage rate, energy prices, what is going on, what are we doing to further the schools, like public schools, what is the school choice decision gonna look like infrastructure, when are we gonna get the United States to look like Dubai? That's what the conversation has to be, not backwards conversation about, are you gonna go against your political opponent? Who cares? If they did something wrong, they're gonna have to take what they get. Take what you get if you did something wrong, okay? Swallow your ego and pride and take the decisions that you get, because you done messed up, okay? You messed up. So let's start talking about the future and let the Kash Patels, Pam Bundy handle those, whatever those people did, and let the commander-in-chief command.
Person to be sworn into office. Do you commit to releasing your medical records?
Sure, I do it all the time. I think I've released 4 of them.
Not just a letter, though, your full medical report.
Yeah, I would, and I think anybody should, but I mean, according to all the reports, I don't want to, where's wood? Is there some wood where I can knock on wood? But my reports are very good, very strong.
So you plan to release
Sure,
them?
I have no problem with it.
What about your business dealings? So you obviously have your online company, DJT. Are you going to divest?
Well, I have online. I mean, I don't know what's to divest. All I do is I put out messages. I needed it for messages because, as you know, I was taken off Twitter at the time it was called. And I was taken off all of the different things. So I actually created my own company. It became Truth, and it was very successful.
Will you divest from that?
Well, I don't know how I can divest. What does that mean? I'm not allowed to open it and use it? I mean, all I do is I don't openly look at the company. I'm not even on the board of the company. I didn't want to be on the board. I have other people, and they run it. And they run it very well because Truth has become a very, very successful platform.
Are you planning to accept a salary as president?
I'm not going to accept a salary, no. And I'm giving up a lot of money, Do you know, it amazed me, and maybe this isn't right, but other than George Washington, and they're not sure about that, every president has accepted their salary except me.
And you did accept the pension, correct?
I don't think so.
You didn't accept your pension?
I don't think I accepted anything. I didn't. I get a salary. The president gets about $450,000 a year, and I didn't take it.
I want to ask you again about...
But by the way, I got no credit for that. That's okay.
Well, I am asking you about it for that reason. Yeah. And I think it's notable you're not going to accept a salary.
Yeah, I don't accept. I'm not. Yeah. I didn't, and I'm not going to. Okay. And I don't believe I got any credit for that. But I just feel it's, for me, it's a nice thing to do. I think this, and I was surprised. Not one president has done that. I would have assumed Roosevelt would have not accepted salary, or Kennedy. Kennedy family is rich. I would have assumed that some of them, I'm the only president that they say they think that George Washington, but those records aren't too good.
Sir, we talked about your family, and they were such a big part of your first administration.
And they did a great job. Think of it, the Abraham Accords they did.
Well, that's what I'm thinking of.
Oh, no,
will Jared still be an advisor? Will he be someone who you turn to, particularly as you deal with what's happening in the Middle East?
Jared's a very smart guy, did a great job. He did the Abraham, if he did nothing else, and that was a big thing, and they should have built on it, but we'll build on it now. We had 4 very powerful countries with Israel, and when you think of what it really represented peace in the Middle East. That should have been filled out. It wasn't, but we'll get it filled out. But no, I'm not going to have the family involved because I don't think they were treated fairly. They did such a good job.
But will it feel very different?
A little bit,
to be
yeah.
at the White House and not have them there?
Sure, it will feel a little bit different. But I mean, think of what we did. We did the tax cuts, biggest tax cuts in history. We did and that's a big thing, and that also spurred the economy. But if you look at the Abraham Accords, if you look at peace in the Middle East, we would have had so many different things. And they had to really go through Russia hoax. Guys like Schiff, who's a real lowlife. As an example, Adam Schiff, he's a lowlife. And now he gets elected senator. It's so sad. But my kids got treated so unfairly, so I don't want them to go through that.
Last question, because I'm getting a wrap.
Yeah.
I understand that on day one, you're going to be signing a flurry of executive orders. Can you give me just what are the top ones people should know about?
A lot of it will have to do with economics. A lot's going to have to do with energy. A lot's going to do with having to do with the border. We're going to immediately strengthen up the border and do a real job. And some of the basics. So we're going to end the electric mandate immediately for the cars. It's ridiculous. We want people to buy electric cars. Yeah, we want people to buy electric cars. But you know what? They have to be able to, if they want gasoline powered, if they want hybrids, they got to have that. So we're going to be ending that. We're going to be ending a lot of the environmental things that were ridiculous, that hurt our country very badly and didn't do anything for the environment. So we'll be doing, standard things.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC.
All right. Well, we've heard that. Thank you for tuning into the live stream one more time. Look, this is what it is, okay? He shouldn't have taken that interview, in my opinion, but this is democracy. This is what you do. You let the people decide, and then you come out, you talk to the media, the mainstream media. They happen to be the mainstream media. They happen to be a mainstream media or the mainstream media. NBC, I mean, look, he did it, and there we have it. Yeah. All right, let's go to X right now. What is going on with Kamala Harris? What is going on with Kamala Harris? Kamala Harris. Let me tap your screen, subscribe to the channel. Here we go. Why did it take me all the way here? Look at Jill. Shout out to Jill now. Shout out to Joe, bro. Look at Kamala. Look at Kamala, right? Yeah. Kamala, what's his name? Kamala's husband. Who knows, bro? So Joe Biden and Jill. I guess the bubble is all over for Kamala. She's probably not gonna get another chance again. But she had a good run while it lasted, but now it's over because she's never going to go back to running for presidency, because to win the primary, it's going to be hard. A lot of people voted for her, don't get me wrong. However, it's like, with how much, though, they spent a lot of money to campaign, and then it's like, wait, you spent all that money to still lose the election? Yeah, we ain't finna do that no more. All right, here we go. Eric Adams. He might be a Republican now at this point. This man right here.
Others are saying that Biden should pardon people because this would be difficult on their families and difficult on them, and they would have to pay high legal fees. Well, what about me? What about those mothers who are placed on FBI watch lists because they were standing up for their children?
Well, you said the other day you think that the justice system has been politicized. You believe that, don't you?
Yes, I do, with all my heart. But not only do I believe it, the president stated it. Donald Trump stated it. And countless others. You should look at some of these stories, what happened to people that stand up because of what they believe in. I believed in this city. We were going in the wrong direction with the migrants and asylum seekers. And I was very clear about that after 10 trips to Washington, D.C. I know what this crisis has done to our city long term. And New Yorkers are going to see the byproduct of $6.4 billion removed from our coffers.
So given the fact that you think it's been politicized, there's some people who think that President Trump might move to pardon some of the people who were involved in the January 6th attack on the Capitol. Do you think that's something he should do because it's been politicized, or he should not do?
I think that's the determination of the president. I believe it's imperative that we seek justice in our country.
He's pandering to Trump, and this means something. He's been indicted by the DOJ, by Joe Biden's DOJ, and it's like, look, if y'all are gonna indict me, I'm just gonna support the president-elect, okay? Because the president-elect already sort of kind of, he has some interest in Eric Adams, and it's like, look, the president is interested in my case, so let me just support this guy, let them do what they want to do in New York City. I'm just going to be a part of it. I'm going to keep talking good talks about the president. When I say good things about him, maybe, just maybe, he may pardon me. That's what Eric is doing. He ain't no good guy. But look, he's a politician. He knows how politics works. But as per what he's trying to do in New York, secure New York, save New York State some money, of course, that's what you should do as the mayor. Okay, wait. Did that.
I want to sit down with the border czar and be able to walk out and tell the public of New York, here's what this administration is planning on doing, and here's what we're going to do. I think there's some common grounds here. From what I'm hearing from the border czar, he's concerned about public safety the way I am, and New Yorkers are concerned about public safety.
So what's the common ground?
Well, public safety. What is it going to take to ensure that we're safe? What is it going to take to continue the rich spirit of the American people allowing immigrants in? What is it going to take to secure our border? And what is it going to take to have a real comprehensive immigration reform?
So would you allow ICE agents to reopen their offices at Rikers Island? That would make it easier for them to deport people who've committed crimes?
I heard one councilman state that, indicating litmus tests. I'm not into litmus tests. I'm into solving problems, and as we are continually doing in the city. I don't want to walk into a meeting with the border czar with preconceived notions and lines in the sand. I want to walk in and sit down with him and say, let me hear.
There you have it, Eric Adams pandering, guys. He wants to work with the president-elect to hold man the border czar. He's ready to work. He's ready to, do everything in his power to support this administration. Well, the Trump administration, but it's all political tactic, in my opinion, because now he's indicted. He has to do this. There's no option because the Democratic Party indicted him because they investigated him and they saw like there were some discrepancies, and it's like, look, you have some things going on. We're going to have to indict you. And here we have it. He's supporting Trump now. But it is what it is. Check this out. Joe and Elon.
It's amazing how many people in the Diddy party list that are supporting Kamala. Too.
Yeah, seriously. It's like insane.
Publicly, openly, all in.
Yes. It's like J-Lo was like his ex-girlfriend. and it's like now deciding she's like warning people against Trump. I'm like, well, wait a second. So how many people did she warn against Diddy?
Right.
Oh, 0. Okay.
Right.
Well, maybe we shouldn't trust her opinion.
Did you see the Babylon Bees take on it? Did you see the Babylon Bees?
Babylon Bees awesome, but
oh my God, they're so on fire because the left can't say anything. Well, the Onion has been crippled.
Well, the problem is that like the
find that post.
The woke ideology makes like humor illegal.
Yes.
So when like there's so many humor no-fly zones,
right?
You can't make fun of anything.
Yeah. The Babylon Bee had a thing about Kamala Harris. Diddy's ex-girlfriend urges Americans to trust her judgment. Yeah. By the way, you get to see how bad an actress she is too. That speech was terrible.
Like if she's gonna be warning people, why did she never warn anyone about Diddy?
Exactly.
Yeah.
The whole thing is so strange to watch play out. It seems like the Diddy thing was like an Epstein-type compromise deal, where whether he was doing it himself. Conceivably, people want to think that he's attached to some intelligence agency or something like that. I think he's a gangster who made $1 billion and knew how to control people by compromising them. That's what I think. Whether or not he had help, I don't know. Whether or not he shared some of that information with people so they knew they had compromising stuff on people, I don't know. But clearly he was doing it for his own jollies too. There was something sick about it.
Yeah. I mean, but the thing is that people in the music and entertainment industry had to know that Diddy was like abusing, kids basically. And yet they still fed him kids. And like, where's the accountability?
There had to be rumors. There had to be. They
had to know.
Yeah.
They had to know.
Cat Williams is talking about it on
exactly.
Yeah, on that podcast.
But like who's feeding him the kids?
Right. Yeah. And what videos do they have of these people where they're willing to defend him, and they're willing to keep quiet about all this? Like how many people were compromised?
Yeah.
The whole thing is fucking crazy.
Crazy.
It's just crazy when because the nutty conspiracy theories is like, oh, there's a bunch of pedophiles in Hollywood, and you're like, come on, that sounds too kooky. And then you see like the Nickelodeon thing and all these, and you're like, what the fuck? How much of this is real?
There's a lot more real than I think people realize.
Yeah.
It's really heart aching to hear that your heroes that you grew up listening to are deplorables. just like the comment I just removed from Ellie Belly. Basically deplorables, okay? Because it's like, what is going on here? And that's the thing, like J-Lo saying, you know what? Well, I'm going to warn you against Donald Trump. Girl, you better go warn the world about your boyfriend. Warn them against Diddy back in them days. You didn't want nobody against Diddy. Now you want to warn people against Donald Trump, the 45th for real. The person who gave one of the best gas prices ever, who gave one of the lowest mortgage rate. You want to warn people against that, but you wouldn't warn people against Diddy? You're running out of skelter because you don't want to testify. Man, you need to chill. You need to chill, man. But look, this right here is just pathetic. It's sad. It's mind-blowing. Mind-bugging. It's like we're just in a simulation. It's like a movie. Wake me the F up, okay? Wake me the F up when this whole thing is done and over with. Because it's like, what? All the heroes that you thought they were some legendary status are going through all of this stuff. And it's like, what happened? What is happening? Shout out to Ellie one more time. God bless you, Ellie. Look, what is going on? Okay. Now check this picture out. All right. Here we go. Here we go, guys. Now this is, it says, isn't it odd how Kamala's biggest fans were all very connected to Diddy? Check this out. We got Cardi, of course. Well, Cardi's just like, she's new in the game. She probably don't know nothing. I mean, she's new. She just started, what, in 2018 or 19? Man, she's she's like a newbie in the Hollywood industry. I could like, come on, she just blew 4 years ago or 5 years ago. But there you go. You have LeBron. You got Swifties who endorsed, well, LeBron endorsed Kamala Harris too. Taylor Swift endorsed Kamala Harris. Ellie, what's her name? Ellie Goulding? What's this lady's name? She has a TV show. What's her name? Ellie Barrett. Man, what's her name? Ellen DeGeneres. It's that quick. Look, I can't even remember her name no more. It's been a long time she's been on TV. And you have the queen right there, Beyonce. Okay? You have the queen right there. And then you have what's his name? I forgot his name. Don't mess with the Zoan. You got Oprah for sure. You got Madonna. And you got Hove. You got, of course, J-Lo. You got Leonardo DiCaprio. This is Leonardo, bro. Leonardo? Y'all know what Leonardo is, right? This is probably Leonardo is probably the greatest actor to ever lived, in my opinion, okay? This is just facts. For me, okay? Leonardo is probably the greatest actor to ever do it. You know, apart from Al Pacino, you know, Denzel, and the top dogs, okay? Robert De Niro and all those people. But like Leonardo, he's like probably the greatest. You know what I mean? Like, I haven't seen one Leonardo's movie that I don't like, apart from the new one he just did with Netflix, Don't Look Up. That was total BS. Okay? Total BS. But, of course, he did it. But, look, Diddy is with these people, like the greatest, most influential people. So what are we going to say? Do they know or what? Because you can't tell me they don't know. I mean, it's been these successful for years, for decades. It's been successful for decades. Oh, man. This is just sad. Anyway, well, there you have it. On to the next. Vegas says, Holly weird. Check this out.
1440, and arresting you on suspicion of improper use of the Electronic Communications Network. Under Section 127 of the Communications Act, okay? So you do not have to say that it may harm your defence if you don't mention one question, something which you later are in court. Anything you do say may be given evidence. Do you understand that?
So I'm actually being arrested?
You're going to be arrested, okay?
Right.
So you got to the police station.
Right.
You, okay, this is in relation to some comments that you've made on a Facebook page. Okay?
Oh, really? Oh, it's a Facebook crime, is it?
Okay.
Right.
So we need to ask you some questions about that.
Right.
Have you got anything in your pockets, Thomas?
I've got my keys. I got. No, that's about it. I think keys.
So, anyone who's been arrested, we can search them under Section 32 of the Peace and Benevolence Act.
Right.
And that's for dangerous items.
I mean, you said I was going to be arrested under some what information? I'm going to be arrested for posting on Facebook.
Some comments that are offensive.
Total BS.
And people have made a complaint about that, and it's.
Can you tell me what this comment was?
Okay, well, we'll do that when we interview.
All right. And so, what am I going to be locked up for the night, or?
Hopefully not.
They are arresting people in UK for Facebook posts and comments. This is hilarious. So now we can't even do a show without getting scared that you may be arrested for what you say. You can't make this up, guys. You can never make this up. Look, so now no first speech anymore. Well, UK is done anyway. But look, arresting someone for the comments they made on Facebook for their opinions. You come to the person's house, and then you say, you know what? You're arrested for the comment that you put up on the Facebook post. What?
Zero.
And you're proud of that?
If you are asking me,
How many refugees has Poland taken?
Zero.
And you're proud of that?
If you are asking me, if you're asking me about Muslims illegal immigration, none, not even one will come to Poland. Not even one if it's illegal. We took over 2 million Ukrainians who are working, who are peaceful in Poland. We will not receive even one Muslim because this is what we promised.
But I asked not about illegal immigrants. I asked about refugees. And Jean-Claude Juncker, the Commission President, says that you're racist. You sound proud of the fact that you haven't taken any refugees.
Of course, because this is what our people are expecting from our government. That's number one. This is why our government was elected. But this is why Poland is so safe. This is the reason why we had not even one terrorist attack. Look at the streets in Poland. And we can be called populists, nationalists, racists. I don't care. I care about my family and about my country.
Ms. Lockbeal,
I mean, what is bad in caring about your family, your country? What is bad? People are just so emotional when it comes to this. It's like, you need to take in refugees, be your brother's keeper. Now, I'm not saying don't help people, but you never know. You just never know. It should be your family and your country first. Look, life is hard, people. Life is absolutely hard. However, you cannot save everybody. You can never save everybody, okay? No matter what you do, you cannot save everybody. You can create a space for them somewhere safe, but once you bring them in and try to house them in your area, in your society, in the community, and they're all like moving everywhere, you don't know where they are, and if something happens and they say it's from an illegal immigrant, what are you gonna do? Blame yourself? It's sad, guys. All right, this should be the last one for tonight, and we're gonna be back in like 4 hours. All right. Neil deGrasse, what is his name? Neil deGrasse. All right, this is like probably the funniest one.
Categories within a sport. What I said was the idea of creating categories within a sport, splitting them in the example I gave, which I just made it up, like hormone ratios, is not fundamentally weird compared to dividing wrestlers by weight.
No,
because
it is.
the only
it
reason
is.
why you
I'm
do
going to
this
respond.
is to make an interesting contest.
No, Neil, you're wrong.
And so you said Floyd Mayweather fight. Hold on.
You're
you
wrong.
said Floyd Mayweather.
You're not
fighting
allowing for the superior male biology when it comes to lung capacity, stamina, to body mass, to muscle mass, all those things. If you just take one criteria of hormones, you're not allowing all that. I'll give an example. Caitlyn Jenner, who obviously... hang on. I'm going to finish my point. Let me finish my point. Caitlyn Jenner was an Olympic male decathlon gold medal winner. Caitlyn is a big golf fan. And when she started playing golf after she transitioned, she was allowed to play off the women's tees, which are 50 yards further than the men's tees. And she quickly realized that she was still smashing it 300 yards down, and obviously was then beating all the women that she played. So she now plays back off the male tees because her biology is that of a man. And I feel that that was the most honest way to deal with it. I also feel that if you want to have a separate category, have a trans category. Or have trans women compete against men, which is their biology. Isn't that the scientific way to resolve this?
Look, I was about to say this fool, but I didn't say that. Okay, I take that back. But look, this shouldn't even be a conversation, but it is. Somebody says, I take it that you are from Africa and that's where you're streaming from. If not, you're in America. Shut your mouth. If it was Poland, you would not be allowed in, except I am not a refugee, Kong Hong. Wait, you're in China? And you're trying to get to the United States? Bro, just do it legally, bro. Just try to do it legally, okay? Do it in a legal way, okay? The president of Poland was talking about, or the guy that was talking from Poland, he was talking about refugees. I am not a refugee. I did not come to the United States as a refugee. Okay? No, I didn't. So, get your facts right. Yes, I was born in Nigeria. I got here like 8 years ago. I am now a United States citizen, Hong Kong. And I came here legally. It took me 5 years to become a United States citizen. I studied. I learned the way. I took exams. I waited patiently. I went back, studied again, went back, and again and again. And I got my citizenship. So Kong Hong, relax, okay? Relax. Chill. I am not a refugee. I came here as a legal immigrant, and now I'm a United States citizen. So if you're mad that you're in, probably, I don't know where you are, but your name Kong Hong, maybe you're from North Korea or South Korea or Singapore or China, and you wish, or maybe Taiwan, and you wish to be here. Yeah, Kong Hong, you ain't in England, but let's say you are in England. Yeah, if you're trying to come to the United States, just do it legally, okay? Okay, just try to do it legally. Don't try to do it in a very illegal way, and then you get deported and you're gonna start having and throwing tantrums like what you're doing in the chat right now. I guess you're from Africa and you're streaming from Africa. Nope. And you're probably like a troll, but I like trolls, okay? I do. With that being said, thank you guys for tuning into the live stream. Double tap your screen. Let's get the likes up. What else? Okay, so this is the first stream for the day. I'll probably be back here soon, maybe in like 4 hours. I don't know. Vegas woman, she's too wild. Okay, thank you for tuning into the live. Also, Vegas, I saw the picture on your Quora, I don't know, and it was nice. Thank you for reposting. God bless you. And who else? Thank you to the veterans in the chat. Thank you to everybody. Iris91, God bless you. Instead of looking for perfection, seek for consistency. Never give up on yourself. Never give up on your dreams. Never give up on God. Believe in yourself. Believe in your dreams. And believe in God. You know what time it is. It is your boy, Genesis. And I am signing out. Okay? Stay strong. Life is hard. You're going to go through a lot of stuff. Sometimes it's going to be dark. Sometimes it's going to be storms and rainy days. However, stay strong, put your head up, and never give up. Okay, never give up. Everybody goes through a lot in life, but just stay strong, man. Stay strong and keep God first and stay positive. Okay, good energy, positivity. You can never lose with good energy and positivity, and with grit and share will and believe in yourself. You can never lose. It's just a matter of time. It's a matter of time. You will never lose if you have share will, grit, and you don't give up and you keep going.